And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week.
And as many of our friends are enjoying the end of the summer down at the shore or up at the mountains, it's impossible not to talk about the situation in Afghanistan, where Americans are angry, our allies around the world are caused to lose faith, and our enemies are emboldened by the incredibly inept actions of the Biden administration. And now, as the world watches in horror, the Taliban takes over Afghanistan, a nation that's been mired in despotism and turmoil for centuries, which suffered under the oppressive hand of the Soviet Union for many years, and more recently had the kinder forces of the United States and our allies to deal with. Is thrust back into a situation reminiscent of the 7th century. The Taliban will impose Sharia law. Let's be very candid, it hasn't worked anywhere that it's been imposed very well for those upon whom it was imposed. And the extreme version of Sharia law that the Taliban subscribes to is particularly oppressive to women and to any of those who don't subscribe to their faith and their policies. So, you think about the fact that many of us were concerned about our continued presence in Afghanistan, but none of us wanted it to end this way. After trillions of dollars and thousands of American lives and thousands more who were maimed and injured, and our allies who suffered the same fate, we're left with the Taliban walking door to door through the streets of Kabul, seeking out those people who assisted the United States, seeking out people of the Christian faith, seeking out women who don't subscribe to the way they think they should live and act, and performing awful things. So there's going to be executions galore. You're going to have martyrdom in the streets of Kabul. And you've got potentially thousands of Americans trapped there, literally held hostage. Think about the reaction of America and the world to 52 Americans held hostage by Iran back in the late 70s and early 80s. And now think about the fact that we've got a situation with potentially thousands more whose lives will be on the line. All of this is pointing up the dismal and absolute failure of the Biden administration. America deserves leadership. We want leadership. We don't want a leader with no plan, no execution, who then chooses to once again bunker down, hiding in the Catoctin Mountains at Camp David, unwilling to talk to the American people or to the world, and unwilling to be on the front lines of response to this horrible situation. The world deserves better. America knows we do. It was Robert Gates, who served as Barack Obama's Secretary of Defense, think about that, who said that Joe Biden had been wrong about virtually every foreign policy issue he had ever touched. Sadly, that record continues. Enough said. But on the economic side, we're seeing equal disaster. Well, not equal, but we're seeing significant disaster. With rising prices, not only for food, commodities, gasoline, etc., but inflation now taking off because of the policies or failure to have real policies of the Biden administration. A recent poll said that 80% of the American people, 79 to be precise, blame the Biden economic policies on the fact that they're paying more at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and for other goods and services that they need, and that they're watching their purchasing power reduced by rapidly increasing and spiraling inflation. It's reminiscent of the Jimmy Carter days. By the way, he was president when the hostage situation took place in Iran as well. Finally, in the state of Georgia, the county of Fulton, which includes most of Atlanta, is going to have what amounts to an audit of the processes of the 2020 election cycle. And potentially, it will result in the removal of office of the Board of Elections there. There were a lot of problems in Fulton County, Atlanta. Both parties acknowledge that there were at least procedural problems, if not much more. But they're doing something about it. They're going to take a careful look at this under a new statute. They're going to review everything that was done, and they're going to come up with definitive conclusions. And if it's shown that malfeasance, malpractice, or gross negligence were present, then the Board of Elections there in Fulton County, Georgia, will be removed. Ultimately, these kinds of audits are a good thing. If there's nothing to hide, there's no reason to oppose them. Businesses have audits, so should the election process, so that we can be assured that the integrity of our election system is always there, and that every vote that should be cast is allowed to be cast, that every vote that's cast is properly cast and that every vote is properly counted. Finally, last week I missed saying farewell to Bobby Bowden, the fabled coach, most recently at Florida State. I know a lot of folks didn't like Florida State, but Bobby Bowden was a great coach and a great man. You need look no further than the great movie We Are Marshall to see that scene where Bobby Bowden did what every coach should do, not only because of the love of the game, but the integrity of it and his real heart for other people. May he rest in peace. And may all of you enjoy the closing days of summer, because for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.